to affirm this. We're going to align with this truth statement. And I know you know why, right? True, because it is true. All right, so here we go. So we're going to align with it 3 times. Here we go. And you can make some hand motions. The main thing is move, all right? We got to move. So here we go. My joy connects me with abundance. All right, let's do it again. My joy connects me with abundance. Feel that joy and that expansion, and let's affirm it the 3rd time. My joy connects me with abundance. All right, if you'd like to, turn to somebody near you and affirm that for them, and let them affirm it for you.
My joy and your joy. Abundance.
All right, good deal. All right. You gotta move? All right. I have to tell you all this. I've shared it already several times this morning, but before I tell you the real joke, I have to tell you this. It's so funny. Truly, already last evening, I decided that I was going to wear this jacket. I love this jacket. That it's like the like fire truck green. You know, I just love it. So I kid you not. This morning, I looked out on my window on my back deck, and there was this beautiful black fluffy cat sitting on my deck with a cat raincoat on that was this color. I am not kidding. You know, a cat raincoat, those little things they put on dogs and cats sometimes. And he was just sitting there, just enjoying the day. I'm like, well, good morning. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. I've seen him there before, but I've never seen him or her with the raincoat on. So I was like, okay. And Cheryl shared with me that what the message was to be. I agree with that. The cat was being. It was really funny. So, all right. So now for the real joke. Are you ready for that? Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so there was a man who told this story. It was his birthday, and it was his birthday, but the lawn needed to be cut, so he's out and he's mowing the grass. And he's in the midst of mowing the grass, and his teenage son shows up. His son's been at a baseball game, and the son walks up and he says, Dad, it's your birthday. You shouldn't be mowing the lawn. And the man felt really good, and he's like, oh, this is cool. My son's going to take over mowing the lawn. Oh, some of your parents, I can see. You know where this is headed. Okay, so and so the man's about to turn over the lawnmower, and the son says, yeah, it's your birthday. You should wait till tomorrow to finish it. Okay, those parents out there already knew where this was going. All right, so sometimes Zig Ziglar, if some of you may have read Zig Ziglar, he was the great motivational speaker and writer. He wrote this. He said, there'll always be somebody in your life that's going to treat you wrong, but be sure to thank them for making you strong. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting, yeah, that's a good one. And why is that? What is it that about people, quote, treating us wrong that helps to make us strong? You can think of that in a lot of ways, but one way that I think about that is that when something happens to us that doesn't feel good, or it feels like, well, what was that one, that wasn't right, that what happens is if we choose, we don't always have to choose this, sometimes we just get mad and go on our way and grump about it, which is a wasted opportunity, by the way. But if we'll take the opportunity, it's a fabulous opening for us to think more deeply about who am I? It's a great opportunity to get a sense of ourself. What do I like? What do I not like? What was it about that didn't work for me? What was it about that felt somehow like it chipped away at something about me? What was it that it sparked? And so anytime something doesn't work out, if we'll take that opportunity, it's a great possibility for us to learn a little more fully who I am. What do I like? What do I not like? What do I consider respectful? What do I consider disrespectful? What is it that I need? What is it that I don't need? What kind of energy do I want in my orbit? What do I not want in my orbit? And also we can take it deeper. It's like, so how did I respond to that? You know? Did I whack them back? Did I roll over and let them bull me over? Did I make a thoughtful response? Did I let it go? There's not like one right way, but also we get that opportunity for self-reflection. How did I respond to that? What was going on within me? What were my resources? What were my options? What were my tools? How did I see it? Did I think I had options or not? Sometimes we don't always think we have options, right? I got a secret for you. You always have options. You may not like them. I may not like them. I may wish there were other options. But we may not have all the options we want, but we always have options. We always have the opportunity to make choices about how we were going to respond to life. Now, there's another piece of this. It's also true that anytime anything happens to us that we like or that truly helps us or that uplifts us or that is a constructive response to the self, that's also an opportunity. I know it's sort of seems like a fact of human life that we don't tend to notice that as much. We kind of tend to take that for granted. But the negative things tend to be a little bit like a little electric shock, a little shock that kind of get our attention. But it's also true that the things that are positive, the things that we love, the things that build us up are opportunities to learn as well, if we'll take them. And again, it's just really kind of the same things. What was it about that built me up? What was it that I enjoyed? What was it that resonated with me? What was it that made me feel safe? What was it that helped me build my sense of self-respect or understanding who I am? So anything really in life that happens to us, we can use it as an opportunity for self-reflection. Self-reflection is absolutely necessary for spiritual growth. Absolutely necessary. Because you have to be able to think a bit about what happened and how did I respond to it? How did it affect me in order to be able to build a little bit more openness to that God presence. Our psychology and our spirituality work hand in hand. That's one of the beautiful things about the Unity philosophy, is it really understands that so clearly. Because it realizes that we are spiritual beings expressing as physical, psychological, intellectual, emotional beings. And so, of course, we have to deal with who we are expressing in the outer in order to understand something about what's our source and how do I work with who I am, how do I work with how I feel, what I think, what I do, how I respond, so that I can more fully connect with that Christ presence in me and let that express more fully. Otherwise, what happens is that our emotions get stopped up, our mental capacity gets stopped up in the sense that we might think we don't have options. We get stuck in a rut and we just become reactive, right? I personally have never done that. I've read about it. I read a lot, and that's one of the things I've read about. No, okay. I have read about it, but, yes, Eric? Absolutely, yes. Just so I could understand other people, right? Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Yeah. The story of my life. Okay. So when we connect that who we are expressing as and we connect it with our spirituality, that's when we're really growing. When we're understanding that how can I deal with who I am and what's going on in me and what's going on in my behaviors and my reactions and my feelings and all that business, so that I can trust and let go more fully, so that I can know that God life and it can come through me in a fuller way. Because when we do that, what's happening for us is that we're getting a sense of self. This is sure something that we've been studying about. Those of you that are coming to the Wednesday night class, we got one more class that's coming Wednesday night. But y'all know what I'm talking about, right? That's what this whole class has been about. It's about the sense of self, about the sense of precious boundaries. And boundaries is just what I'm just talking about. Where do I end and you begin? That sense of what is healthy, what's not healthy, what's respectful, what's not respectful for myself. What do I think? What do I believe? What do I feel? What do I do? What do I choose? And the reason that we have that sense of self and that sense of boundary is so that we can be safe in the world. Because when we know more fully who we are and we feel more confident in who we are, and when we know that we're not alone, nobody can walk around in this world thinking, I'm the biggest, baddest one on the block, I'm good. And I mean, that can be a show. We all know that. But I tell you, when you're doing that on the outside, inside, it's scary in there, right? You're scared. But when you know that you are one with God, and again, you don't have to call it God. You can call it whatever you want. But when you have that sense of larger meaning, that sense of life, that sense of I'm not alone, that sense of I'm nurtured and connected, that I can turn within for wisdom, and that wisdom isn't just me off in a corner figuring it out. It's connected somehow to this bigger wisdom that Cheryl was just singing about. Really, that's what that was. When I know that, then I'm safer because I understand myself, that amazing paradox that I'm an individual expressing the divine, expressing the universal. And that's a lot, right? You can go home and think about that all afternoon, right? We're each individuals, as are all people, individuals expressing the divine. We are one, and we are individuated expressions of that one. So on the outer, yeah, we all look different. And when you go down further and deeper, and when you see the bigger picture from a distance, you get it. We're really all one. And so the paradox of that is that to be able to live more fully in that oneness and in that conscious awareness of oneness, and nobody lives in that awareness all the time, but to do it more fully, the paradox is you have to be yourself. Now, that seems counterintuitive, right? But it's not. And it's not about this kind of, I'm big and bad and I'm out there, I'm going to get you. Not that, no. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what I was saying earlier about who am I, what do I think, what do I believe, what I feel. Because then I'm secure. And I can walk around in the world because I know who I am and I know who I belong to, right? I belong to the universal good. Hi, I'm Anna and I belong to the universal good. Who are you? You can say, hi, I'm Victoria, and I belong to the universal good. I'm saying, I'm glad to meet you, sister. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. Think about that. You may or may not want to say that out loud to anybody, but think it in your mind. Hi, I belong to the universal good. I bet you do too. And when we know that, it changes everything, doesn't it? Because we can walk around in the world so safely then, because we know how to take care of ourselves. We know how to deal with it when those people do us wrong. We know that we're safe and that we can choose a good response that's going to be helpful and thoughtful and uplifting, not by changing them or trying to. It doesn't work anyway, but at least not by trying to, but just by being us, and it shifts the vibration. And we can also be ourselves when those people that are giving us that we love and making that connection. Because sometimes the temptation is, when I feel so connected, then it's like I've just lost myself, right? That's uncomfortable. But we don't have to do that. We can maintain the sense of self and still have that flow. So the spiritual paradox is that I can know that I am one with you the more that I know who I am and that I'm part of the universal good. Does that make sense? It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And that's the spiritual journey. My opinion, I think the world's calling out for that right now. Big time. I believe that. I believe that with every ounce of my being is that's why all of us are here right now. Because we know that. We wouldn't be sitting in a unity church if we didn't know that. And the opportunity is to keep knowing it more fully and more fully and more fully, and as we walk about in the world to express that. Because some people hadn't figured that out yet. And that's okay. They're still God's children. Everybody's God's children. And we all belong to the universal one. And as we express that, then it creates that world that Cheryl was singing about. That's what we're busy, right? In consciousness. We're doing the work, and it's wonderful. Thank you, truly. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you. I look out here today, and I look out here every Sunday, and I am in awe. I am in awe. It's like, thank you, God, for all these amazing, beautiful, strong souls that are here to grow spiritually, here to participate, here to express this universal good, that are waked up. All of us are interested in even more waking up, and I'm in awe. So thank you truly for being here and for doing this work. I want to share with you this passage from the Bible. This is from the book of Galatians, and it's actually the passage that we focused on all year last year. It's about fruit of the Spirit. And the backstory to this is that the churches, actually, there were early churches in Galatia that the Apostle Paul had helped to found. And scholars have a little bit of disagreement about exactly where these churches were. But basically, what scholars say today is that they were somewhere in what we call modern-day Turkey, somewhere in that area. So this was Galatia. And this is one of the books that in the Bible, in the Christian Testament, that scholars are pretty sure that Paul the Apostle actually did write. Some of them that people have attributed to Paul the Apostle are like, probably not. But this is one of his followers or some of his students, but probably not him. But this is one of the ones that they're pretty sure it's a letter that Paul actually wrote to the churches in Galatia. And this was the basic issue that he was addressing with them. And this passage really speaks to that. They were, the early Christianity, of course, what became Christianity, really started, of course, out of Judaism. And so the early Christians were Jews, that they were people that came out of Judaism. And also some of the early Christians were, that Mediterranean area was, was a great melting pot. There were lots of kinds of people around. So there were Romans and Greeks and Phoenicians and Jews, and there were all kind of people. So, but the meat of the early churches was the Jewish people. And then there were other people that got involved. And as it spread, of course, other people that were in those locales got involved. So the basic controversy a lot in the very early days was, can people really be Christians if they aren't first Jews? Do they have to follow the Jewish law? So people that were Gentiles, do they have to follow the Jewish law? And it wasn't a frivolous concern. They were really trying to sort this out. Like, what does this all mean? So that's the basic context in which Paul was addressing these churches. And what he was doing was he was calling them beyond tribalism. Does that resonate with anybody today? He was calling them beyond tribalism. Now let me say something real clearly. There's nothing wrong about knowing what sort of ethnic group you belong to or cultural group or however you want to frame it. There are a lot of ways to frame it, or wherever you're from or whatever. It's interesting and it's important because we're affected in good ways by the acculturation that we had and so forth. That's a wonderful thing. And it's a part of our identity. It's a part of how we express. The problem comes when we use those designators to say, I'm in and you're out. And I'm going to fight you over it. And we know that, right? That's the problem. So it's not about identity. It's about when we get ourselves off in little hateful groups and the tribalism and oppress each other. That's wrong, or oppress other people. So he was, I'm not saying they were doing that, but they were confused. They were like, I don't know, how do we sort this out? Who are we really? What's our identity? So that's where he was coming from. So this is one thing he told him. It's got 6 chapters, but this is one of the important things he told him. I think this is the meat of what he was telling him. So this is in chapter 5, verses 22 through 23. So he was contrasting all these things they were doing and should you do this, should you do that in the outer ways. So then he says, by contrast, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. That's amazing, isn't it? What a list. Those are beyond tribalism, right? They're about the deep values. Those are about deep identity. Those are about the identities of oneness. And I've told you on several occasions about going to the Parliament of World Religions a few years ago, how amazing it was. 10,000 people there in Salt Lake City at the Salt Palace. 10,000 people from, I don't remember again how many religious faiths were represented, a whole lot of different faiths. And everybody having a good time. And getting along and knowing that this is about oneness and knowing that it's all good, and every group had their little place set up and their worship area and their stuff. And the one rule was you weren't supposed to try to proselytize. A few people kind of slipped over the, but most of the time they didn't. Most of the time it was wonderful. It was incredible consciousness. incredible consciousness of oneness. And it was just beautiful. And I thought, yes, human beings we're sorting this thing out. There's a huge, amazing energy here, and we're sorting it out. Except, I know I've told you this too, but it's so funny. Except for this one guy who was not attending the conference, but he was outside in front of the Salt Palace with a sign. And I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was something like, basically, you're all going to hell or something. I don't know. Because he was into tribalism. And it just freaked him out that all these different groups could be together getting along and saying there's only one God or whatever you want to call it. Who cares? We just love it. So we're having fun. And it was fun. And I've told you this too, but people would go out and talk to him and just talk to him and love him up. And it was good. Nobody was fussing with him. That's God. It's not about who you are on the outer that defines you. Yes, you can enjoy it, and you should. We all should enjoy whatever the outer designators are. And to know that underneath that, we are all one. And it's these kind of values that are the real identity. These are the values that are the identity. And that's the place where we create the oneness. Now, I purposefully didn't read you the last line here, but now I'm going to read it because it's good. So he lists all those things, and then he says, there's no law against such things. There's no law against such things. That's the truth. And when you live like that, yeah, there may be some people that don't like it, and they may try to bully you and tell you should mow the lawn tomorrow, not on your birthday, but instead of picking it up for you. So what? If you're living in that place of those values, you have shifted the energy, and they got it one way or the other. They picked it up. And not about you trying to change them, but it made a difference in their life. They felt that pebble in the pond because it's probably nobody treats them like that very much. They probably live in that dog-eat-dog mentality. And it's probably an amazing experience for them that somebody didn't try to whack them back. They probably don't have that very much. One of my prayers is, it's a sincere prayer because I'm not always good at this. God, help me to be kind to the cruel. Help me to be generous to the stingy. Help me to be loving to the mean. And help me to be generous to the mean-spirited. Help me to be joyful to the killjoys. And you can make your own list. But I invite you to make yourself a list like that, whatever it is for you. That's what's the challenge. That's the opportunity, is to be in this Christ presence, to live these values, to live this oneness, no matter what, no matter where other people are at. To just be who we are from the depth of that fullness. That's the Jesus Christ message. That's the Apostle Paul's message. That's the message of all spiritual teachers from all paths. That's the heart of all true religion, is that oneness. As we do that, as we ground ourselves in that sense of self and that sense of divine generosity, what happens is it's so easy for us to do something for nothing, to just give it away. Because we're not giving away anything that's going to take away from us. That spiritual paradox is, as I give from that place, we know what happens, right? It multiplies. And it comes back to us. And it comes back to create an amazing world. So get out there and give something for nothing. And you already do that. I know that. I really do. I appreciate it. It's good to be with you. And just keep letting that expand. Let's pray. Sweet Spirit, thank you so much. Thank you for the capacity to give something for nothing from that place of divine joy and love and generosity. Guide us and help us, strengthen us, enlighten us as we go forth in joy, to be lights in the world and help this world in a wonderful way. And we bless all of our brothers and sisters around this gorgeous planet, knowing that truly your light shines in everybody. And so it is. Amen.
the hall, on the wall, in a house in Reseda, there's a poster held up by 2 nails and a pin. It's my daddy, the actor, about to die with his boots on. He's the man standing up there beside Errol Flynn. He got 3rd or 4th billing at the end of each picture. Well, that don't mean much, he would say with a grin, and he'd hold my hand tight as he pointed each name out. Only 4 or 5 names down below Errol Flynn. Now fame it is fleeting, and stars they keep falling and staying right up there. That's the business of art, and luck kisses some, and as she passes by others, disappointment and bourbon are hard on the heart. Now the women and beers and the years with old Errol, they took their toll and took me from his side. He kissed me goodbye at the old Union Station. That's the last time I saw him, the last time I cried. Now I'm sitting alone in a house in Reseda, watching the late show as the moonlight shines in. Then up on the screen, oh, here comes my daddy. It's a sad, funny feeling. Now I'm older than him. So you fathers and daughters, you sons and you mothers, remember life's over before it begins. So love one another and stand close together, as close as my dad did to old